In today's video, I'm going to show you how to grow mushrooms from something you can buy at the market. But what I'm really showing you, this is where most people lose control before anything begins. Not in the growing, in the preparation. Because when people try this for the first time, they focus on what to add: more moisture, better soil, stronger containers. And yet, what ruins their results was already there from the very start. Hidden, quiet, uninvited. So instead of adding more, we're going to remove what doesn't belong. That shift changes everything, because growing mushrooms isn't about forcing life. It's about deciding what gets the chance to live and what doesn't. What I'm about to show you will change how you grow mushrooms. But more than that, it will change how you approach growth itself. Before anything grows, something else already exists. You just can't see it yet. So the first decision you make is not about planting. It's about selection. You begin at the market. A tray of mushrooms sits in front of you, some firm, some soft, some slightly opened, others still closed and round. Most people reach for the biggest. That's the first mistake. You want fresh mushrooms, firm, rounded, not over mature. Because what matters is not what you see on the outside, it's what's happening inside. Inside the stem, that's where the living network begins. The mycelium, if the mushroom is too old, its internal structure weakens, it becomes exposed, vulnerable, and vulnerability invites competition. So you choose carefully, not for size, for integrity. Now we move to something that looks simple: grains, corn, rice, wheat. It doesn't matter which one you choose as much as how you prepare it. Because again, this is not food preparation. You're preparing territory. Take your grains, wash them. Not once. Again and again. Water clouds, clears. Clouds again. Each rinse removes dust, residue, and fragments you didn't notice before. Then you boil. Not fully cooked, just enough to soften the outer layer. Because this step is not about feeding the mushroom. It's about waking everything else up. Yes, everything else. Bacteria, spores. Microscopic life is already sitting on those grains, dormant, waiting. When heat touches them, they respond. They begin to activate. And that's exactly what you want. Because you're not trying to avoid contamination yet. You're exposing it. You're bringing it into the open. After boiling, you drain the grains, and then you wait. This is where most people rush. But this waiting period matters, because as the grains cool, the invisible begins to move. Activity increases. And now, you know where the risk is. Next comes your first layer of control. Your hands, your tools, your environment. You don't need perfection. You need awareness. Wipe surfaces, clean your tools, reduce what you can. Because cleanliness here is not about being flawless. It's about deciding who gets access. Every unclean surface is an open door. Every careless movement is an invitation. And what you're inviting will compete. This is where the process shifts. You realize something. You are not preparing mushrooms. You are preparing space. And space is never empty. It is either controlled or claimed. Skip this, and you won't notice immediately. Everything will look fine at first. Grains ready. Mushroom selected. But days later, something appears. Not growth, interference. And by then, it's already too late to remove it. So you slow down here, because what feels like a small step is actually the moment that decides everything that follows. Now your grains are ready. Your space is controlled. And what comes next will reveal whether that control holds or collapses. What you see as a mushroom is not what you're growing. The real growth happens out of sight, thin, white, thread-like, spreading quietly. The mycelium. That is what you are cultivating. The mushroom is only the result, so everything you do now must serve that. We begin with the container, a jar, simple, clear, sealed, but not completely, because air matters. You create a small opening. Cover it with cotton. Not tight, not loose, just enough to allow airflow, and stop everything else. Because air brings life, but uncontrolled air brings competition. And this balance, this is where most people lose control again. Now comes something many skip. The second sterilization. You've already cleaned your grains. You've already prepared your space. And still, it's not enough. Because what you exposed earlier didn't disappear. It multiplied. So now you apply heat again. This time, not to wake, but to eliminate. You place the grains in the jar. Apply pressure, steam, time. And slowly, everything unwanted begins to break down. This step is quiet. Nothing dramatic happens. But this is where control is secured. Skip this, and everything that follows becomes a gamble. Now the jar cools. You don't rush it, because rushing creates openings, and openings invite interference. Once cooled, we return to the mushroom, but not the whole mushroom, just the stem. You cut it open. Inside, it's clean, dense, structured. Outside, it has been exposed, handled, touched, carried through environments you don't control. So you remove the outer layer carefully. What remains is the inner tissue. This is what you need. This is what grows. Not the surface, not the visible part, the protected core. Now comes the moment of transfer. You open the jar, briefly, no hesitation, no delay. You place the inner tissue into the grains, and then you close it immediately, because every second open is a decision. You either maintain control or you release it. Now everything is set, but nothing is visible yet. So you wait. The jar rests in darkness, temperature steady, not extreme. You don't check constantly. You don't disturb it, because growth is not forced. It spreads where it is allowed. Days pass. Nothing. Then a small white patch appears, barely noticeable. Then another, and another. Threads begin to connect, expand, reach, and slowly the grains begin to change. What was separate becomes one. This is the moment most people miss, because it doesn't look dramatic. But this is the transformation. This is success forming quietly. Now, compare. Another jar, same grains, same mushroom, but control was loose, airflow unmanaged, sterilization rushed. Inside, the difference is immediate. Dark spots, unstructured growth, uneven spread. Something else has taken hold, and it doesn't share space, it takes it. In one jar, growth moves freely. In the other, it struggles, not because the mushroom failed, but because something else was allowed to succeed. And that is the difference. Not effort, not intention. Control. What you allowed in determined what could grow. By now, the lesson is clear. Growth is not about doing more. It's about allowing less. Every step you took wasn't about helping the mushroom grow. It was about removing what would stop it. Because nothing grows in isolation. There is always something else waiting for the same space. So before you expect results, decide what you're letting in. Control the beginning. And the outcome becomes easier to guide. Not forced, not chased, just allowed. And once you understand that you're no longer just growing mushrooms, you're shaping conditions. And conditions decide everything.